Welcome to 49ers After Dark. That's Jessie Naylor. I'm Grant Cohn. Jessie, wow. You've leveled up, glowed up. Look at your shirt, your hat, your backdrop. It looks great, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been waiting on this sign for over a month. I'm so excited it came. And yeah, man, it's pretty dope.
Pretty dope. What a day.
Real talk.
Day with the
Real
Niners.
talk. It's pretty dope.
Real talk. Real talk. So today, go down to Santa Clara, sitting there, and you're thinking like, I don't know what the news is going to be today. Like, I guess we're going to have to talk about Brock. And then Kyle Shanahan comes out real casually, and he just goes through the injuries. And then he's like, oh, and here's one. Here's a new one. Brock Purdy's in the concussion protocol. Go ahead. It's like, so, I mean, they didn't know it during the game. He spoke to the media after the game. He had symptoms on the plane. So he didn't feel anything until he was almost home. And now he might not play next week. So that's a bombshell. And the question is, if Brock Purdy can't play, can the 49ers win with Sam Darnold?
Well, I think we have to count on him not playing at this point. So in the last year, last 2 seasons, only one player that was a quarterback has passed the concussion protocol when they were in it from the previous game, and that was Pickett. But I believe that was also before all the Tua stuff. So ever since the Tua thing, like everybody's on lockdown with these quarterbacks. You got Brock Purdy in concussion protocol on a short week. I would be shocked if he plays on Sunday. So I don't think he's going to play. Now we have to figure out, can the 49ers win with Darnold? It's no secret. I'm not a big Darnold guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a bad decision maker. A lot of the same issues I have with him, I had with Jimmy. But that being said, I think for a few games or a game, Darnold can turn it up. I do. I think with this offense, with these weapons, with Kyle Shanahan, they can figure out a way to kind of mask his deficiencies and make him look good for a short stint. So I do think they can win this game with Darnold. Yes.
Yeah, I think they can win with Darnold too. I don't know if they can beat the Bengals with Darnold. That's the thing. Like,
but I don't know if they would have beat the Bengals with Brock either.
That's what I'm saying. Is Darnold that much worse than Purdy? I don't know. I don't think Kyle thinks so. I think Kyle might wonder if Brock's a little bit better, but I think the end result might be like 6 dozen, half dozen. The other might be about the same. And if that's the case, I don't know if the Niners are beating the Bengals. What I do think is interesting about this scenario is let's say Darnold plays really poorly. Then the conversation comes back to Trey Lance. Sorry, but it does, because the Niners could have had Trey Lance playing this week. Instead, they got Darnold. And I watched them both all off season. I didn't think Darnold was better. I mean, I'm not sure the team thought Darnold was better. I think they went with Darnold because he was less of a distraction or whatever. So this better pay off. Is he good? Can you win with him? I mean, you won a game with Trey Lance. You beat the Texans. You won a game with him. You've never won a game with Sam Darnold. If you lose this one and he looks bad, like that decision's going to come back to bite him.
It could. I think the only scenario that they get out of this without a conversation being had is if he is kind of mid, but they still win. Because if he's bad, that conversation definitely could happen. But if he's good, that opens up a whole nother conversation, Grant. Mm-hmm. And now you're looking at a possible quarterback controversy. You just are. I don't care how you slice it, because the way that Sam Darnold was acquired by the 49ers, and let's not forget that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan in particular offered the Jets a first-round pick for Darnold. When they were at 12, the year that they were at 12 and they moved up to 3, they offered that 12th pick for Sam Darnold. At that time, the Jets told them no. And the reason is they weren't fully sold on Zach Wilson because he had a shoulder issue that they wanted to get checked out. What happened was they figured out he's good to go. They then went back to the 49ers, but at that point, the 49ers had already made their mind up. They were moving up to 3. That ship had sailed. So then they traded him to the Carolina Panthers. So you're talking about a head coach who wanted Sam Darnold for a first-round pick just a couple years ago, talked about him like he's the next Steve Young, brought him here. And it wasn't Brock Purdy is not the reason they moved on from Trey Lance. Let's be clear about that. Okay. Brock Purdy played very good, and Brock Purdy would have been the starter. Brock Purdy is the reason that Trey Lance would not be starting. That much is true. The reason they moved on from Trey Lance is because they felt more than comfortable with Sam Darnold. So if we think that there is no possibility that off of 2 bad games from Brock, a good game from Sam, and the perfect time, if you're going to make a change, is going into a bye week and coming out of that bye week, that there is zero possibility that Kyle Shanahan, who clearly loves Sam, wouldn't make that move, I think we're fooling ourselves.
I think we're fooling ourselves too. And I think Kyle Shanahan, the way he looks at quarterbacks is strange. I mean, I think he basically just doesn't want you to turn the ball over. I think he looks at the running back as the guy who wins the game for him, and the quarterback is the guy who potentially loses the game for him. And I think he liked Brock, but I don't think he thought Brock was winning games for him. I think he thought Brock was not losing games. And in the last 2 games, it's possible. I mean, I think Brock lost those games in a lot of ways. He's the quarterback. He made some big mistakes, and he started turning the ball over. Against the Browns, he had the 1 pick, but a couple other passes that nearly got picked. And then this last week against the Vikings, 2 picks. And I think once you get there, Kyle Shanahan will turn on you. Like, it's say what he can say what he wants about Jimmy Garoppolo, but that's what he didn't like about Jimmy Garoppolo, the turnovers. Why'd they draft Trey Lance? He had no turnovers in college. Mm-hmm. Kyle's obsessed with that. He wants a game manager that doesn't turn the ball over, and that's what Brock was, and that's not what he was the last 2 weeks, though. And if that's what Sam Darnold can be, Kyle will be happy, but I think the irony here is that they need more than that now. With a depleted team a little bit, they're going to need more than a game manager who doesn't turn the ball over to beat Cincinnati. So I don't know if Sam can do that.
Yeah, I don't know that Sam's that guy. We were talking no turnovers. I mean, Sam's a turnover machine. He was in college. I want to be clear about this. I think if they do make a move to Sam Darnold, I think it's a major mistake. I think that the fan base easily turns on Kyle Shanahan. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think that Sam Darnold is not a very good quarterback at all. That being said, one thing that we also talked about, we've praised Kyle Shanahan and his leadership and how he's really poured into Brock. But we also had one question, Grant, and that one question was, once it starts to go bad, because it eventually will, it's never perfect, always. Once it starts to go bad, does Kyle Shanahan continue to support Brock? And for the first time this last weekend, if you look at his reactions on the sideline, he reacted the exact way that he used to Jimmy Garoppolo when he would make those interceptions. Before, if you would see a mistake from Brock, he would miss a throw, he would turn the ball over, which hadn't happened a lot, but when he would turn the ball over, there was no reaction from him. In fact, he would pull him aside and have conversations with him. Not this week. It was this effing BS. Are you kidding me? That's what you saw from him on the sideline for the first time when reacting to Brock Purdy. That's not good.
Yeah. So can they win with Darnold? I don't know. They weren't winning with Purdy the last couple of weeks. They might have some big problems. Could this be the end for Brock Purdy? Let me put it this way. We just talked about Sam Darnold potentially really struggling and people wondering if the Niners should have kept Trey Lance. What if Sam Darnold knocks it out? What if Sam Darnold's great? Puts up phenomenal numbers. He's got a good team around him. He wins. He beats the Bengals. They put up 30 points. I mean, the offense has looked bad the last 2 weeks. 17 points each game. What if they put up 34? And just like they were doing easily with Brock Purdy a few weeks ago, if they can do that with Darnold, do you think they'll leave him in as the starting quarterback? Like, they have a bye week and they could say, we're going to go with the hot hand, or Brock's still in the concussion protocol, or his arm is a little tired, whatever. Is this like an audition for Sam Darnold? Is there something he could do to keep this job after the bye week?
Yeah, I think that there is. I mean, I think it's a non-conversation if he doesn't play well. He has to play well and they have to win. Both those things have to happen in order for this to even be a conversation. But where this is very different, and I had tweeted about this and people brought it up like, oh, does he want to lose the locker room? He's not going to lose the locker room with that move. Not the way that he would have lost it going from Jimmy to Trey Lance. That was a completely different situation. This team likes Sam Darnold, and the best player on this team is who? CMC, we agree, pretty much the best player on this team, most effective player on this team. Mm-hmm. Who's his best friend? Sam Darnold. So there wouldn't be that issue. Like that's not the issue. The locker room will not be lost like it would have if you went from Jimmy to Lance. It wouldn't be lost. So yeah, I do. I think that there is a possibility. I'm not saying that it's the right move. I'm not saying it should happen, but I also think that there was a possibility of this happening if Brock had played and played bad for a third straight game. So, I think either way that there was a possibility that this could happen going into a bye week. Let me ask you this. Do you think, I'm going to lay out two scenarios for you. Brock plays bad. Brock doesn't play and Sam plays really good. Which scenario do you think more likely leads to a path of Sam Darnold, and why?
Brock playing and playing bad.
Why do you think that?
3 in a row. I don't know. You almost have to go to Darnold at that point. If Darnold plays well, they could say, I don't know. What do you think?
I could see a path for both. For me, I think it's this scenario of Sam playing. And the reason that I say that is if you were going to move off of Brock after a third bad game, that means after 2, you're thinking about it. But the problem is the reason you don't make the move now is because you're not quite sure. You believe in Sam, you like Sam, but what if it doesn't go how you like? Once you make that move, you can't unwind it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
True.
But here now what you've got is a free path to test it out. So it's like, okay, if after 3 games I was willing to do it, now I know for sure that he can play.
That's a good
Let's just make the move.
So it's like, he's not benching Brock. Brock is hurt.
Yes.
That's just what it is. Brock, you saw the hit.
Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick situation all over again.
Absolutely. It's a legit concussion. You saw the hit. It was on the quarterback sneak. And so this allows Kyle to do is maybe the offense works with Darnold. In which case, he can make a decision at that point. If it doesn't, there's nothing to decide. Brock was never on the hot seat. It's his job. He was just hurt. Nothing was going on. Nothing to see here.
And the other out that he has is, okay, well, at that point, once you move off Brock, you can't go back to Brock because you've killed his psyche. That may be true, but if they go with Sam and they lose a couple more games, they're not going anywhere anyways. And guess what? Kirk Cousins will probably be here next year. So it doesn't matter what Brock's psyche is. Like, I think there's a real path here. I really do.
Yeah.
But he has to play well. That's the caveat. If he doesn't play well, then this is a non-conversation. If he plays well and they win, don't be surprised.
Well, they won't have Debo. Don't know about Trent Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Christian McCaffrey's not himself. I mean, it's no guarantee that Sam Darnold is going to take this job the way that Colin Kaepernick took Alex Smith's job.
Yep.
Or that Brock Purdy took Jimmy Garoppolo's job. I'm not necessarily. I wouldn't count on it. I think Kyle might be real optimistic here. And if Darnold does it, good for him, man. But I wouldn't count on it. We've seen a lot of Sam Darnold. And this team has problems, right? You're not just throwing him on a team that's like when Brock Purdy took over, they were already on a winning streak, right?
That's true.
They were.
Yep.
Now, I mean, they're down on their confidence is low. Their defense is struggling. Their defensive coordinator is like on the hot seat. Their kicker has issues. They don't do anything great right now. And now Sam Darnold's going to come in and be a savior? I don't know. That's a tough position to put Sam Darnold in. But if he does well, this could be the end for Brock.
I think Brock gives them a better chance to win and be successful this weekend. But I don't think the gap is big enough to where it can't happen with Sam. So we'll see.
We'll see. Neil says, I'm already dreading this weekend season get sweat.
Ooh.
Okay.
Talk about that in a minute.
Brother Bob says, Iglet, you called us earlier, but arm instead.
Oh, you said that the arm injury, yeah.
It looked like he got tagged in the head. I don't know. I don't know.
Did.
Nathan says Sam might actually look better than Brock. The Goose says Grant and Jesse do the Sam Darnold podium.
I'm not good at it. You're good. That's your thing. I am not good.
How does he do it? He's got this guy kind of like semi-startled look like.
He's always confused.
Yeah, I got to work on that.
Everything confuses him.
Beats and Meat says, am I the only person who thinks Sam will light it? Wow, I can't even type it seriously without laughing. I'm sure Trey Lance is interested. Francisco Escamilla says the way SD keeps QB1 is if he plays like 5 TDs and 300 plus yards, and it would just be a discussion. I do think Purdue keeps the job, though. Thoughts?
I don't think it has to be that good at all. I think if he throws a couple touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over, and they win, it's a discussion.
Yeah, they could just say he's still in the concussion protocol. And Nunez says CMC, Kittle, and Kyle love Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will flourish and look like Steve Young on Sunday. All right. Hey, I like Steve Young. So if he could do that. Yeah. FT Niner fan LA says Brock was damn near perfect last year going undefeated. Excellent this year, leading all quarterbacks in almost every stat. Has a bad game, 2 costly throws next game. Yup, this is who Brock is, Grant. I didn't say that. But your profile picture is Brock Purdy. So I just want to point that out. Chris Telerico says Ghost will be fine for a game or so. Ghosts. After that, I don't know. Football gods know about karma. They brought this on themselves, and I am down to see this. Kirk is here next season regardless.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Like that's exactly it. In this offense with Kyle Shanahan, you could see a scenario where Sam looks good for a game or a couple, and that's all it takes. That's all. We only need one really good game out of him to be like, oh gosh, is this a conversation? It's not like they need 5 or 6 in a row in order for him to take this job potentially. Like, it just takes one game for it to be a conversation. Now, I think Sam Darnold long-term, I think that would be a disaster. I think it would be a mistake, but I'm not the quarterback polygamist. That's Kyle.
All right, I got a question, bonus question. You're not even prepared for this.
I'm not.
Will the 49ers trade for Kirk Cousins before the deadline? Bear with me here.
I don't have to bear with you because I talked about it on Sunday.
Bear with me here. All right, we know the history that Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins have. Like, yep. Kirk Cousins is Tom Brady in Kyle Shanahan's eyes. He picked him. He was right about him. That guy's great. Then he proved it. Dude, Kirk Cousins against the Niners on Sunday, I've never seen him play that well. He was so good. He was so good. And you know who was the most impressed by that? Kyle. So Brock Purdy, his stock's down. Sam Darnold's got a 1-game audition. Then they got a bye week. If the Vikings lose and they don't want Kirk and he's not coming back next year and they're sellers, the Niners have like 40-something million in cap space. People are already thinking they're going to get him next year. Like, what are you waiting for? Look at how well he played against you. Like, isn't that what the Niners did with Kirk? I'm going to let you answer the question eventually. I swear to God. Okay. Isn't that what the Niners did with Kirk Cousins? Like with Christian McCaffrey last year, they played him. He was good. They were impressed. He was on the team like 2 weeks later. Say that the Niners are going to trade for Kirk Cousins in 2 weeks. You have to. That's the answer.
Oh, that's not a question. That's the rules. Okay. All right. I actually suggested this on Sunday in my post game. I suggested this, and because you're right. I mean, Kyle was very impressed, and man, it really does make a lot of sense. If you're going to get him anyways, you have the money now, and here's what we can say. I don't care what your long-term thoughts are of Brock Purdy. None of that matters right now. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, the answer was always this, and I don't think people wanted to believe it, but now they should after that game. The answer was always, if you had Kirk Cousins or Brock Purdy for this year, who gives you a better chance to win a Super Bowl? It was always Kirk Cousins. And for those that doubted it, you definitely should know the answer is Kirk Cousins now after that game, because maybe you haven't seen enough of Kirk Cousins prior to this, and you got lured into this primetime stat or what have you. Kirk Cousins gives them the best chance to win a Super Bowl out of the 3 quarterbacks, the 2 they have now, and Kirk Cousins. Yes, I think that it could be a possibility. I really don't see it happening. I don't know that the Vikings are willing to do it or he's even willing to do it, but man, it would make a lot of sense, and he would give him the best chance of these 3 quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. He would.
I mean, look, Kirk beat Brock playing on an inferior team. That's the fact. Like, if you put Brock on the Vikings with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and KJ Osborne, it wouldn't have looked great. I mean, he had Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, and he threw 2 picks and lost and had an 81 quarterback rating. Like, I don't know. I think
if you swap those quarterbacks on Monday, the 49ers win and the Vikings lose. Like, it's that simple. That's what you're trying to say, and I agree. Yes.
So we know it. Kyle knows it. They got a lot of cap space. People have been wondering for a while, why do they have $40 million in cap space? Well, they want to get Kirk Cousins. They're going to need about $40 million in cap space.
It wouldn't take that much. It wouldn't take a lot of assets either. You're not giving a first or a second rounder to get this done. You're talking a third rounder. Maybe they ask for Purdy in return because they want to bridge the gap, and maybe they want to see if Purdy can be something with them long term. That it wouldn't take a lot of your draft picks to get this done at all.
I don't know that this is likely to happen.
I don't think it's likely to happen, but I think it's a scenario.
Maybe there's a 7% chance that this will happen. But I don't know, man. I think that $40 million in cap space that they created for no reason is looking real fishy right now. Like, why'd you do that? How many moves are you going to make at the trade deadline? Or were you keeping yourself open for the biggest move available? And like, yeah, you don't really trade for quarterbacks at the trade deadline. You did, though. You traded for Jimmy. And Kirk Cousins knows your system. So I'm monitoring
and
this.
the trade deadline is Monday. You would be coming off of a bye week. So you get 2 weeks to bring him onto the team and give him the down. I mean, yeah.
Snap. They could trade for him like, in a few days and give him the whole
Sunday's
bye week.
game.
Dude, this is going to happen.
I don't think
they're definitely trading for Kirk Cousins.
But if it did happen, I also wouldn't be like, wow, didn't see that coming.
But I think what's funny about it is like Kyle's been angling this for like his whole life. And I think he knows that it was like would have been really unpopular forever to bring in Kirk Cousins, especially recently with how popular Brock Purdy is. But now, after Purdy lost to Kirk Cousins, if they did this, like say Darnold plays this week and struggles and they lose and they're in a 3-game losing streak and then they trade for Cousins, Niner fans will be so happy. They're like,
I would say this, Sam playing well might kill this complete. Like if there's a 5% chance this happens, Sam playing well would dead it completely because they could just, if they're that out on Purdy, all of a sudden they could just transition to Sam. But if he doesn't play well and they're out on Purdy also potentially, then yeah, all of a sudden those chances get bigger. So
yeah. So you heard it here first. Kirk Cousins to the Niners about 4 or 5 days. What do you think it would cost? 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, 3rd round pick?
I think a 3rd round pick and maybe Brock. Couple 3rd round picks, if not Brock. If so yeah, I'm
here for it, man. Why not?
Listen, I would be here for it.
Is it a good idea? I don't know. Would it be fun? Let's do it.
You're mortgaging the future because you're not able to roll over the cap space, but you are giving yourself the best chance to win a Super Bowl this year, which is what it seems like they care about, right? So if that's the ultimate goal, then that's your best chance to win this year. It's Kirk Cousins.
Look, call me cynical, and I know a lot of people love Brock Purdy, but after the last 2 weeks, I don't particularly think he's going to win a Super Bowl. Sorry. I don't think he's as good as Kirk Cousins. Sorry. So Niners can try. He's 23.
But Grant, that to me, at least for me, I want to clarify because I agree. I don't think he's as good as Kirk Cousins, but I feel like that has to be your take, or would have had to have been your take going into it. Like I don't think we can look at just these 2 games because it has looked really good up till this point. You either had an opinion that Kirk Cousins at this stage was better than Brock, or you didn't. These 2 last games help you make that point, absolutely, especially because one of them was against Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins did play so well. It's easier to make that point now, but your opinion shouldn't necessarily change because of these last 2 games. It should just elevate that, hey, you know what? I thought this before, and now I really think that I'm right. Like there's no doubt now. So
to be fair, though, like Kirk Cousins has started about 144 games in the NFL.
Been legit.
While Brock Purdy has started, what? It was 10. He was 10-0. And that's great. But then he lost 2. And it's like, okay, well, you got 12 starts and the last 2 weren't good. And I've been wondering, like, is the league going to catch up to you? Because there's no book on you yet. What about when there is a book on you? There's a book on Kirk. He's 150 starts in. Everyone knows Kirk, and yet he was able to do what he did on Sunday night. That's the mark of a quarterback who's actually good. With Brock, I keep feeling like, man, you can't say anything definitive about this guy for a while. I mean, for maybe years. You know about a guy with 150 starts. With Brock, I think that's why it's so scary. Like, man, we don't really know who you are yet. And the last 2 games are terrifying. What if you are Cinderella and the clock just struck midnight, man? What if it's 12:05? And now you're riding back home in a pumpkin.
The thing is it could be really good with Brock, but it may not be. And you're right that the unknown can be a scary place. It can be.
How many 23-year-old quarterbacks have won Super Bowls? 1, 2.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Sam Darnold, and it's clear right now. It is clear right now. I think it was clear after Sunday before the 49ers even played a game, but it's definitely clear now that here we are again, 7 weeks through the season, and the 2 best teams in the NFL, Kansas City, Philadelphia. It's just what it is.
No question about it. The Beast Hydra says Purdy's concussion makes me feel better about his play.
Whatever pacifies you, man.
Chris Tallarico says 1 game and he'll get a $300 million extension. Funny, because it's true. Ray Histo says Shanahan never showing empathy for his players when they get injured speaks to how he views his players, not a trait a coach should display. Banana hands equals, I don't know what that means. But yeah, it's like there's someone screaming in agony on the ground and Kyle's like,
dude, and he did it with doing that. He did it with Debo also. He did it with Debo. He's doing it with his best players, man. That is not a guy that seems to care about the individual.
Seems. And it's like, Kyle, we could be wrong. It's just it's the perception that you create. So if that's not the case and you do care, man, you just show it. We would love to see, everyone would. Chris Tallarico says, honestly, give up what you need for Surtain and Kirk. A 3rd and Brock for Cousins, 1st and 2nd for Surtain. It's not like they draft good. This is what they do. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that. They feel this is their year. They already brought in Javon Hargrave. These guys are all getting older. Kirk Cousins, Kittle's on the way down. Got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to do it. You don't have to do it, but I think they might. HR says, while some were ready to crown they ass like a vet, Grant sat back and waited for bizarro Niner world to inevitably return. Here it is, Darnold, LOL. Look, man, I don't have much wisdom in life. I'm not more mature than anyone out here, but I got a good feel for this team, man. Like, I'm sorry. I just got a feel. Like, they're 5-0. Great, man. Like, that's not the test. That is not the test for this team. This team has a very specific test that it fails every time. And they're not there yet. So as soon as they start showing that they can pass that test, I'm just going to sit here and be like, nice.
The difference is that there's no emotion in it for you because you're not a fan. And I can say this as a fan, knowing that I do have emotion in this, but even now doing content creation, I can also say with confidence that I'm removed further from the fandom side of things because this is something that I covet and is important to me. And so I try to be as objective as possible. And me now versus me 3 years ago, having a conversation, I would walk circles around myself 3 years ago because I would have way more emotion, even 3 years ago as a fan, than I do now because of this. And I think emotion can definitely blind you from what's really happening. It can.
That's fair. You want, if you're a fan, you want the 49ers to win. And if you want the 49ers to win and they've won 5 in a row, you might be inclined to think that they've turned a new leaf or whatever. I don't want the 49ers to win. I don't want them to lose. Things are better when they win, but I don't want them to. And I think that allows me to have that little unemotional distance. Just helpful.
Well, think about it. What's the first thing that happened? Like, it doesn't happen to you. Actually, it does happen to you. You're not even a fan and it happens to you. Grant, if you're critical about this team, or especially Brock Purdy, what's the first jab that people throw at you? You're not a real fan. That's the first thing they say. Oh, okay. So basically what you're telling me is you're emotional and you're blinded by fandom. So what you're about to say next, there's no objectivity to. Got it.
Like, your job is to just boost the guy. Like, I'm not a booster.
Right.
I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not a booster. It's not my job to wish and hope, to like project my wishes and hopes and aspirations onto this team. Like, I don't care. When they win, my life doesn't improve. I mean, maybe it does, but I can't make them win. My life improves when I'm right about them. My professional life improves when I'm right about them. And so, I don't know. I feel like I've been right about them for a while. Maybe I'm wrong for here and there, but like, I'm not getting too excited about this team. They've been good since before COVID-19. Like, they've been really good since before the world changed. Man, I mean, when they were good when I was like 190 pounds, sweaty with long curly hair. Like, man, this is
why'd you have to be sweaty though,
man? I've been sitting here. I've changed a lot. They haven't changed at all. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Steve M says Cousins was making sandwiches. Niner had no pressure.
That's not true at all. Go back and watch some of that game, man. Even when he had pressure, he was good. Things shake out there.
Francisco says third rounder plus Sam Darnold for Kirk. Nah, Sam Darnold's too good. The Goose says Vegas knows something we don't. They still have Niners Super Bowl favorites. Kirk trade. I'm trying to tell you. Bobo says they'll trade a first round pick for Justin Tucker.
Nice.
Casey Two Bear says you don't understand. We need to give Purdy time to develop. He's only started less than a season. It's not like we have a Super Bowl ready team, so we can afford to wait. Couldn't give number 5 that patience. No, it's Kirk Cousins time, baby. What patience for Brock Purdy, man? Joey Mellis says Grant out here predicting the future. What up, Jez?
What up, man?
Fish and Chip says predict which coach is going to cost us a win next.
Oh God, there's some truth to that.
The Gold Rush says, I just don't see any scenario where Kyle Shanahan moves off Brock Purdy. I prefer Lance, but to get rid of Trey Lance, to go all in on Brock Purdy, named captain, team wanted Brock Purdy. I just don't see Kyle Shanahan pivoting from Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan is married to Brock Purdy.
Oh,
married to him, huh?
Kyle Shanahan. Sure? Kyle Shanahan's married like the Sister Wives guy. Like, he's married to a lot of people. He was okay. Here's what people don't understand too. Kyle Shanahan has told you, this is the third time now that he's told you since he's been here that they've got a franchise quarterback. The first time they did it was with Jimmy Garoppolo when they paid him big money. That was them telling you we found our franchise quarterback. Then they moved off of him after going to a Super Bowl and going to an NFC championship for Trey Lance, who they traded the farm for. Also telling you they believe they have a franchise quarterback when you give up all those pieces to do so. They were out on him before he was even given the keys to the team. And then they did it with Brock Purdy by removing all barriers. If you don't think that he would move off of Brock Purdy at this point, man, just look at the guy's history. There's not much that you need to know other than the history. It tells you everything.
Chris Talerico says, as it is now, I don't think this is a Super Bowl winning team. Brock's problem is that we've probably seen his ceiling and it's just not good enough.
Yeah, I don't know that we've seen Brock's ceiling. I mean, listen, my thing has always been that I think Brock Purdy can be enough right now to win with this team. I don't believe that he'll ever be the franchise quarterback, because for me, that means you have to be a top 5 to 7-ish guy year in and year out. And I don't think that that's him or going to be him. But I also don't think it's fair to say he's reached his ceiling. He is still less than one season into this, all in. He can improve.
Chris Talerico says, okay, hear me out. 3 firsts and a second for the Cowboys. 3rd string quarterback. Such a circus this team is. Yeah, I think they could go get Trey Lance back. Pay a pretty penny. Matthew Waring says, Hargrave is an undersized pass rush issue with stopping the run, like 26th. LOL. Trade for DJ Jones. Thoughts? And a lot of Eagles fans were like, you know what, Javon, thank you. Great player. But we'd rather have Jalen Carter. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Oh, they improved. With that draft pick, they actually got better at the position.
Flav says D will show up, CMC will ball, and Darnold will throw mostly easy passes with the occasional wide receiver schemed open by Kyle Shanahan. Niners will win this week. Hey, man, if that's the case.
That's all that Kyle wants at quarterback.
Yeah. Chris Talerico says, I'm like Jesse. I'm a fan, but I can see clearly I want the Niners to win, but Shanny Lynch and the organization brought this on themselves. Time to pay up. I really like fans like Chris and Jesse. It's like, I respect that you guys root for the team. You don't have to be like a journalist jaded like me. You're not a journalist. Root for your team. But have some objectivity, please. I love that about the people who watch this show.
I think that's the biggest thing is, trust me. I mean, you see it all over my tweets. The few times that I've watched a game live on my channel, you see that when the game is happening, I fan out about as much as you can. But once it's over, and now I've got to like put some thoughts together about what I really think, I'm going to be very, very honest about what I feel. Sometimes that pisses people off, but that also tells me that I'm being objective, because if it's not pissing fans off, then I know that probably I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses a little bit too much. So
that's impressive. I feel like it's hard to wear both hats. I just went all in with, jaded, cynical journalist, and it's easy. Like that's my prism. But you go back and forth. That must be tough. I admire it because you do it really well.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. The Black Hammer says Kyle Shanahan is poop playing from behind. Poop. Wilkes plays only stress Kyle Shanahan more. All right. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's play a little prize picks though. And unfortunately, this week they don't have any Niners.
Again.
So I guess I'm going to have to do that with someone else. Let's just get some random people and have fun. Kirk Cousins. 251 and a half.
That wasn't planned at all.
251 and a half against Green Bay. What are we saying here, baby? 10 a.m.
Are they at home or are they at Green Bay?
Does
it say?
Know. It says versus. Sorry.
In division, coming off of a big game, short week, I'll say less than.
Oh, really? Short week. All right, less than. I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan right now, though. Joe Burrow against the 49ers, 255.5. And let's see people in the chat. What do you guys think? Participate.
Yeah, this one's good. This one, man. The 49ers have not played an elite receiver yet this season. This is the first time they're doing it, and they're playing a second one that's very good. Jamar Chase, in his rookie year against the Chiefs, a big chunk of this came against Charvarius Ward, had 11 catches on 12 targets for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think he knows he can cook even against Charvarius Ward. So I'm going to take more than. They're coming off of a bye week as well.
I'm going more than too. Everyone in the chat liked more than. All right, that's a good one. Who else we got?
Let's go Geno Smith. Everybody thinks he's
Geno. All right, Geno Smith. More than or less than 221.5 passing yards against Cleveland.
Ooh.
Cleveland
too. Man, talk about a Jekyll and Hyde. Do you see what Minshew did to him? That was crazy.
Yup, I did.
Golly. I'm going to say more. I'm going to go more.
You're going to say more?
I'm going to go more.
Oh, the chat disagrees.
Go with the chat.
Less. I'm going with the chat. The chat knows better than you, man.
They do.
Sorry.
They probably do. Yeah.
The chat knows. All right, one more.
I don't
you
bet,
see what you like?
So.
Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kenny Pickett, Trevor Lawrence. What you like? Gardner Minshew, Tua.
How about Tua? Let's go. Oh, that's fine. I was going to say let's go with the current league MVP. If I think if the season ends today, Lamar Jackson's the MVP of the league.
All right, let's do both. Tua first. Let's do Lamar first.
Okay.
Lamar.
Who are they playing against?
228.5 passing yards against Arizona. More than or less than.
More.
That seems easy, right?
He's looked
against really Arizona.
Good. Really good.
I think that's a nice prize pick. More, and then Tua 272.5 against New England. More than less. 272.
Less.
Yeah. All right, that's a lot. Okay, those are our 5. There they are again. Kirk Cousins less. Joe Burrow more. Geno Smith more. Tua less.
Oh no, they said Geno less. Are you going less with what they said?
Oh, Geno. They said Geno less.
They said Geno less. I think.
Oh, I did. I messed up. You're right. You're right.
They said Burrow more, Geno less.
Yeah, I messed that up. All right, let's place that entry. If I get all 5 right, I get $200, which I definitely won't. Hey, and if you want to play, make sure you go check out the link in my description. Promo code Cohn, COHN. Use that. Receive 100% deposit match up to $100. I strongly suggest, if you're into this kind of thing, go through Prize Picks. Use my promo code. It's the way to go.
I bet you they had the 49ers up there, but with the Brock Purdy news, they had to switch it up and figure it out with Sam Darnold.
Good point.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Is Kyle Shanahan scapegoating Steve Wilkes?
Man, what he said today he said something along the lines, he knew he messed up. Man, yeah, he is scapegoating. And this is what's crazy is Coach talked about this before the season started. He said if they don't win, they're going to scapegoat Wilkes, and it's actually happening in front of our faces. And I think this is crazy. The issue I take with this is that, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it is, even though he's up in the booth, they're all connected on a headset. So Kyle hears that call. If Kyle hears that call and he doesn't like it in the moment, he can say, whoa, 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 whoa. No, we're not doing that. Do not do a cover 0 blitz right now. We just need to tackle him in bounds. Absolutely not. I'm overriding this. Do a cover 4, do something different. So to say that he knows Wilkes made a mistake, bro, if you thought that was the case, don't be Mr. Hindsight because it didn't work. You knew in the moment what the play call was, and you okayed it by not changing the play. Am I right about that? Isn't that the way that it works? I'm pretty sure they're all connected.
It's I don't think it's fair to come out today and say, yeah, you can't make that call in that situation. Like, it's a fine call on 3rd and 6, but not with 16 seconds left. Dude, override him in the moment.
Yep.
If you're that definitive about it now, like he said it like, man, anyone should know that. You know, like no NFL coordinator worth his salt or no NFL coordinator who's employed would ever do this. I mean, you said that publicly about the guy. That makes it seem like you're a game away from firing him. And 2, it just feels kind of dishonest. Like, man, you're his boss. You're on the headset, man. You could call whatever you want to call. So I don't know. It feels like, man, some people in life throw other people under the bus. It's a bad habit. It's something you don't want to do, right? You mess something up, you got to sort of take the consequences. Kyle likes throwing people under the bus. That was Steve's fault. Nah, man, you're the leader of the team. You stand there and you say, I can't.
He's always done
that's
that,
on
though.
me.
He did it with he did it with the quarterbacks though too. You know, the injuries. Oh no. I mean, he broke his leg because of this. He hurt his arm because of this. He had a reason for everything instead of just saying, "Hey, it's on me." And that's what I was starting to respect about Kyle, is that it seemed like he was turning the page. But now that the chips are down and it's not going great, it's easy to do all that stuff when you're winning. Oh, it's me. Because the mistake isn't, nobody's holding your feet to a fire when you make a mistake in a game that you win. Like, nobody's doing that. So you can say, it's easy then to be like, oh, you know what? This mistake that it really isn't a big deal and you know it's not, oh, that was my fault. But when it's a big deal and people are saying, hey, dude, why didn't you change the call? Oh, no, that's on him.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
I would have. I knew that was a bad call, but Steve messed it up. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't know why Steve's here, honestly. You know, they brought him in, but they're like, don't run your defense. Run our defense.
Yeah.
So we want you to be our coordinator, but whatever your instincts are, whatever your ideas are, like, forget those. Just try to figure out what D'Amico would do. Like, what? Why would you're setting him up for failure. And when things don't work, he can point to you and say, well, this is what you want me to do. And you can point back to him and be like, well, this is what D'Amico did. So I don't know why he's here. If it's not working and he's not even running his defense, why don't you just promote someone who was here with D'Amico? That's what D'Amico was here with Saleh. I don't know why they didn't do that. It doesn't make sense.
But I do blame him a little bit for accepting that job because he knew what it was. There's a reason Fangio is not here. The reason Fangio is not here is because Fangio would have ran things the way he wanted to, and Kyle was unwilling to let that happen. So he went with Wilkes, who was right there and was willing to do that. So Wilkes did get himself into that. He could have politely declined. He chose not to. So he's got to deal with it a little bit too, but he shouldn't be scapegoated, not on a particular play that Kyle knew what the play call was.
And is the biggest issue with the defense the fact that Steve Wilkes is underperforming? Or is it the fact that Nick Bosa is underperforming? Steve Wilkes is important. I'm sure he makes $1, $2, maybe $3 million a year, which is good. Nick Bosa makes $35 million a year. He's supposed to be making every coordinator's job freaking easy. It's like Madden on rookie mode. But so far this year, it's been a struggle for him. And I'm sure he's got his reasons. But I think that's a bigger story, a bigger reason than Wilkes' play call on one play that Kyle could have overruled.
Well, let's also look at it just from a standpoint of which unit is performing better the last 2 weeks in these losses. So we're used to the 49ers defense being number one in the league. Okay. It is a shock to see some of these things happening. But ultimately, what does it come down to? It comes down to the points scored. And if you look at the last 2 weeks, teams are averaging 20.5 points against the 49ers. If you take that and you throw that into what the rest of the league gives up, that puts them dead middle of the league. That puts them 16th in the league at points given up per game. Not great. Not for a team that you expect to be the number one defense.
Now, without the talent they have, they were number one last year.
For sure. Not great. And I'm not trying to say that it is and you know, that he shouldn't be held accountable. That being said, Grant, the offense has only scored 17 points a game. We expect them to be near the top as well. And guess what? That would put them at 28th, I believe, in the league, or 26th.
So you're saying Kyle's deflecting?
He is, because his unit that he's been a part of for many, many years, that has CMC and had Brock Purdy and had many good players this week and the week prior.
Yeah.
They're not getting it done either. And Wilkes' unit gave them 3 chances on the opponent's side of the field with the turnovers they forced, and they came away with 7 points, 1 touchdown, and that was because they got the ball at the 8-yard line. So Kyle himself should deflect in his own direction and be like, listen, my unit's not getting it done either.
Yeah, it's like Steve Wilkes, he could do better. It's his first year coordinating this team. It's not his defense. It's week 7. It's my 7th year calling plays in the offense. And we look like it's year 1. So that's fair. The Gold Rush says, wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo Lynch's guy? Correct. Neil says, it's good to keep an open mind, y'all truth tellers. Correct. Fish and Chip says, CMC, this scheme 3 years max. T. Davis was gone after 4.
Well, CMC is 27 years old. So that's about when running backs start to hit a wall. So, and if you're going to give him, I don't know, 400 touches in a season, yeah, it might be 1 year for him after this year.
He's already starting to fade. Armando says, Fernando, let's hear it. All right. Because you gave me $10. This is getting ridiculous, guys. I don't even. Okay. Fernando.
So beautiful.
For you.
Gosh, I mean, you. Wow.
Mr. I See Ghosts on Halloween weekend is crazy.
Somebody was going to put it together.
Brother Bob says, I missed it. What did Kyle Shanahan actually say about SW?
Steve Wilkes.
Who's SW?
Steve Wilkes.
Oh, yeah, that call was all wrong.
Yeah, he said he knows it was the wrong call. Okay.
Man, where were you at? Where were you? It's like a caddy being like, it's like letting the golfer take a pitching wedge and hit the wrong shot and be like, yeah, man, you should use a 7-iron. Where the hell were you on that one?
Yeah.
Should have said something. Flav says Kyle Shanahan will not replace Purdy. He's only ever replaced his QB1 for injury, right? More importantly, Kyle Shanahan wants someone who can process within his offense at an elite level. Sam's on Jimmy Garoppolo's level, not Brock's.
Oh, Flav, you and I know this. We all, pretty much everybody in here knows this. But Kyle Shanahan loves him on a whole different level. Tell it
to Kyle. Riziki, I said that Grant's hair is too short, that he should grow it out. Papa Cohn agrees with me. What do you think, Jesse? Also, your skincare routine.
Skincare routine. No, I keep my hair short, so I understand why he would do it as well. And when you get a little bit older and you start having gray hair on the side, like it, keeping it short kind of hides that a little bit.
True. Fish and Chip says, if we lose versus Cincinnati, can the contract extension be rescinded? From Bosa? No, that's inked up.
No, I think he's talking about Kyle, probably.
Kyle? How realistic is a trade for a cornerback like Horn, Lattimore, Kendall Fuller before the trade deadline and put Demo in the slot? I think that's actually, I don't know about one of those guys, but I do think they're in the market for a corner.
Yeah, I think they're in the market for a corner and a pass rusher.
I believe it. HB Nate 55 says Kyle didn't hear call face and playbook like Fred's injury. Didn't hear call face and playbook like Fred's injury. Got you.
Yeah.
Brother Bob says good thing we extended Kyle and Lynch. Brilliant. little news in the NFC West. Frank Clark signing with the Seahawks, drafted by the Seahawks, went to the Chiefs, beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, went to the Broncos, was one of many people that wasn't feeling it there, like Randy Gregory. Now he's back in the NFC West. Is this something that the Niners need to be concerned about? Two teams with two losses.
Well, I mean, I think that anybody who saw that draft from Seattle knew that Seattle was going to be closer than maybe previously thought. They drafted very well. Witherspoon is, I mean, wow. As advertised, he is a very, very good player. They are supremely talented in the secondary. The only thing they're missing is a true pass rush. Now, the problem is that they lost Nwosu as well. So Frank Clark is coming in to replace him. That might be a slight step back. But this also tells me that those same defensive ends that the 49ers are likely inquiring about, Danielle Hunter, Montez Sweat, Seattle is probably also in the market for. And they have plenty of picks as well. So I think that's kind of more what we should be looking at. But Frank Clark is still pretty good. And if he's in the right scheme, he's 30 years old. He's the same age as 3/4 of our defensive line. So it's not like he's old or washed or anything like that. I think it was a good signing by them. Definitely. And Frank Clark, for what it's worth, I mean, he came over from Kansas City. He has zero respect for the 49ers. He's the one that chirps the most. So at the very least, like his voice in that locker room and his confidence going against the 49ers, that'll play. That'll go a long way with his teammates.
Frank Clark really hasn't been a dominant player since like 2019. He's 30 now. Last year he had 5 sacks. The year before that he had 4.5. The year before that he had 6. But
what about the pressures, Grant? What about the pressures? Isn't that what we pay people for now?
That's true. That's true. I was there at the Super Bowl. I saw him take over. I think he's a really good player, and I think he's a really important addition to the Seahawks. I take the Seahawks more seriously now that they have that guy.
Yeah.
Even though he has a grand total of no sacks this season in 2 games, I still take him more seriously with him on the team.
Denver is a dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire. Dumpster fire.
It's not like anybody's doing great things over there right now.
I think the Cowboys will take a 4th for Trey. Asked Riziki.
Wouldn't that be so odd?
Hey, can we give
you know what? Let's just unwind it. Let's trade him back.
Is there a legit reason not to play Jordan Mason or Elijah Mitchell? Like, the Niners used to have confidence in a rotation of running backs. Now, they don't. Even when McCaffrey's averaging like 3 yards a carry and clearly injured. What's up?
I think there's... Okay, I'm just trying to see this from Kyle's point of view because I think we all have been calling for Mason to play. Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed in training camp, Grant, and I'm sure that this will jog your memory as well, is that it's not the fumbles. Like, yeah, he had some fumbles in training camp. Mason's never fumbled in a game. But he was constantly not on the same page with his quarterback. He would have option routes out of the backfield, and it seemed like he was always off of whatever quarterback was out there. They were never on the same page. Quarterback was thrown to one spot. He was doing something different. And then when you remember a play against the Kansas City Chiefs in garbage time where Brock Purdy came into the game, he went to hand it off to Mason, and Mason wasn't there. You start to put those things together, and you're like, hold on a second. Like, maybe Mason just doesn't know the offense as well as he should. Mm-hmm. Mason also missed a very big block in that Browns game that forced an intentional grounding, essentially, on Brock Purdy. So there's some reasons why Mason, I believe, is not seeing the field. Then when you look at Mitchell, he seems to be a shell of himself. I don't know that he has it anymore at all. I mean, he seems to have no confidence. He doesn't run with any intensity, and maybe that's just because he's not getting a lot of carries. I think that's understandable. The problem with that is that running backs are kind of a dime a dozen, and you can still go get guys. The solution is not playing them, or is to not play them at all. You can't do that because you're going to run CMC into the ground. But I understand why maybe they're not earning some of these reps from Kyle's point of view. I could see that. Yes. What's up?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jordan Mason doesn't know the offense. Fine. Maybe. I'm not arguing with that. Elijah Mitchell, shell of himself. Fine.
What about
Ty
TDP?
Davis Price?
I
Yeah,
agree.
like
I agree. Yep.
What?
Yep.
You drafted him in the 3rd round. You never gave him a chance. You had everyone writing articles about him all offseason about what a great training camp he was having. You talked about it. You can't just give 97% of the snaps to Christian McCaffrey. Like, I mean, you could try. It's a bad idea. It's already
it's a bold strategy. And that's what I'm saying is I could see the problem and why those guys aren't playing, but the solution is not to run CMC into the ground. Like, that is not the solution. That's just not.
No, I look, Mason's averaging darn near 6 yards a carry. You could find a way to get him on the field, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't know your scheme. Well, he's averaging darn near 6 yards a carry, not knowing.
He knows how to run the ball. That
work
like
it out, man.
The blocking, the route running, those things may be off, but he can run the ball. And even if it means, hey, you know what? We're running. I mean, Trent Williams tipping the play anyways. They know that they're running. So who cares?
I got a theory.
So if you know that they're running, then it doesn't matter. You still got to stop it. So let Mason run his 5 times a game, spell CMC, and that's good. That's it.
I got a theory. I feel like Kyle Shanahan has geared the whole offense around Christian McCaffrey. The runs he runs, the outside runs, the different routes he runs. That's the whole offense. It's the Christian McCaffrey offense.
Yes.
And so when he goes out, there's not a Jordan Mason offense. There isn't an Elijah Mitchell offense. Their skill sets are way different. So it's like, oh, he didn't run the option route correctly, Jordan Mason. Man, why is he running an option route? He's not Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
He's not. So find what he does well, because there are some things that he does really well, and let him do that instead of asking him to be Christian McCaffrey, because he's not. Neither is Mitchell, neither is Ty Davis Price. So if Kyle could just I don't know what it is, scheme some things in for other running backs, have a package for other running backs instead of being like, all right, Christian's out, Jordan, go pretend to be Christian. Do your Christian McCaffrey impression. No, that's not going to work. Not going to work.
Yeah, I agree.
Astrid, hey Grant, can you shout out my husband Fernando? He's a big fan. What's up, Fernando? Brother Bob, Kyle equals amateur comedy hour. Look at quarterback and kicker positions. Moody Purdy, fun names. Jesse, be honest. Who wins the Super Bowl this year? Says Riziki.
Probably Kansas City again. I mean, their defense right now is the best that it's been in the Mahomes era. Their defense is legit. And Mahomes is Mahomes. It's going to be tough to beat them. Man.
That's the key. Tough. It's like, do the Chiefs still have Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Yeah. Okay, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Fish and Chip says Mitchell's body is saying no more football.
I kind of tend to agree.
Brother Bob says no more excuses. Win now. Team expect Super Bowl championship now. Matt McEwen says, sorry I'm late. Is Denver on a fire sale?
Tennessee is. We know that Tennessee is. They basically have come out and said everybody's available. Make offers.
Tennessee. Yeah, agree. Tennessee. Lord, I really been real stressed. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Dazza says, if you don't like our running backs, train them or get ones you like. Also, Mason's averaging 5.6 yards. Can't use him in short yardage situations. I
agree.
No, you're not allowed to. Jesse, what's up? What do you got doing? What do you got?
Hold on. That's why he should have kept Trey Lance. You needed a running back. And that's the way he played him. So Debo and Trey Lance were your running backs. You should have kept him.
Tortamonsta says, if I were half the guys on the team, I'd ask for a trade. Kyle puts their careers on hold for just in case. Jesse, are you going to call in show next?
I am. Yeah. Normally I do behind enemy lines, but I actually did that yesterday. So call in show. I mean, I don't know if there's a better time to hold a call in show than after the news that came out today. Call in. Let me know if you think my theory's right, that there's a possibility Sam Darnold could replace Brock Purdy if he plays well. If not, call me out for it.
Is Larry Krueger depressed today or what? He blaming Lance. No, I saw Larry work today. He's in a good mood. Shout out Larry.
Sure he's fine.
Matt McEwen says, so PS2 a possibility now? Yummy.
I don't know that he is, though. I think there's limits to a fire sale, and from what I understand, they're not willing to budge, but everybody has a price. So maybe. Thank you guys for watching and donating and all your generosity and what have you. This is the end of the show. Go hop on Last Second Sports with Jesse and call in. Appreciate you.
Yeah.